The room smelled like expensive whiskey and ego. A sea of tailored suits and designer dresses moved around me in slow, calculated motions, each person dripping with the kind of arrogance that only comes from believing they are more important than they actually are. I didn't belong here, and I knew it the second we walked in. Emily had insisted I come. She framed it as a fun night out, a chance to meet her coworkers, but I knew better. These events were never about fun. They were about status, about proving that she was someone worth knowing, someone with the right connections, the right lifestyle, the right future. And tonight, I was supposed to be part of that polished image. I had been holding a glass of something I wasn't even drinking, nodding through conversations about stock options and second homes, when I noticed Emily laughing a little too hard at something some guy was saying. Not the polite kind of laugh. Not even the drunken sloppy kind. No, it was that genuine, almost admiring laugh, the one where her hand lingered on his arm just a little longer than necessary. The guy was tall, well-groomed, the kind of face that looked like it belonged on a cologne ad. His suit probably cost more than my car. I wasn't stupid. I'd seen little shifts in her behavior over the past few months. How she guarded her phone, how she started working late more often, how she suddenly had new inside jokes I wasn't a part of. But I had been pushing it down, telling myself I was overthinking, convincing myself that the woman I had planned to marry wouldn't do something like that. Then came the moment that shattered everything. Someone asked about our wedding, and Emily, standing beside me with a champagne flute in hand, barely even glanced my way before saying, "Oh, well, we'll see. I mean, I love him, but come on, he's a freelancer. Not exactly the most stable career choice." Silence. A few uncomfortable chuckles. A couple of people awkwardly taking sips from their drinks. But her friends, the ones who always gave me the feeling I was some stray dog Emily had picked up, they laughed loud. She wasn't even looking at me. I could feel my pulse in my throat, that hot, sickening wave of humiliation washing over me. She had just reduced me to nothing, a joke, right in front of people she respected, right in front of him, and she didn't even have the decency to look guilty. I placed my glass down slowly, deliberately, because if I didn't, I might have thrown it across the damn room. "Well," I said, voice steady but sharp enough to cut. "Good thing I won't be your husband then." Emily finally turned her head toward me, blinking as if she had just remembered I existed. "What?" I reached into my pocket, pulled out the engagement ring I had saved up for months to buy, and set it down on the sleek black table between us. It made the softest sound when it touched the surface, but in that moment, it might as well have been a gunshot. Her friends went silent. The guy she had been laughing with shifted awkwardly. Someone whispered something to someone else. Emily's lips parted, but no words came out. I saw something flash across her face, shock, maybe, or just annoyance that I was causing a scene. "You don't get to humiliate me and keep the ring," I said, calm, cold. "I'm done." I turned and walked away, and she didn't stop me. I stepped outside into the freezing night air, my breath coming out in sharp, uneven bursts. The city hummed around me, cars speeding past, horns blaring, distant laughter from bars and restaurants filled with people who weren't living through the worst moment of their lives. I stood there for a second, trying to process what had just happened. I had ended it publicly, dramatically, completely. The thought should have brought some sense of satisfaction, but all I felt was this hollow, sinking weight in my chest. 5 years. 5 years of memories, late-night talks, inside jokes, planning a future together, crushed under the weight of one careless sentence, and the way she laughed after saying it. I pulled out my phone, my thumb hovering over her name. What was I even expecting? An apology? A message begging me to come back? I shoved it back into my pocket before I could make the mistake of giving her that power. Then the doors of the venue burst open behind me. "Are you serious?" Emily's voice was sharp, her heels clicking furiously against the pavement as she stormed toward me. "You're really going to do this here?" I turned to face her, but before I could say anything, she threw up her hands in exasperation. "Jesus, do you always have to be so dramatic?" I let out a short, humorless laugh. "That's rich. coming from the woman who just trashed me in front of an entire room of people. Oh my God, it was a joke. She stepped closer, her breath hot in the cold air. You're so sensitive sometimes. I didn't mean it like that. I shook my head, disbelief curling in my stomach. You didn't mean to call me a joke? You didn't mean to laugh along when they were making fun of me? She let out a frustrated sigh. I was just playing along. It was harmless. I stared at her, really looking at her, and for the first time in a long time, I saw her for exactly who she was. This wasn't just a slip-up. This wasn't an accident. This was who she was, and I had been too blind to see it. I'm done, Emily. My voice was quiet but firm. I'm not going to be with someone who looks down on me. She rolled her eyes, like I was a child throwing a tantrum. You're overreacting. You're calm down. In the morning. I shook my head. No, I won't. She crossed her arms. So that's it? You're walking away over one stupid joke? I took a step back, looking at her like she was a stranger. Maybe she always had been. No, Emily, I'm walking away because I finally see you for who you really are. Her expression faltered for half a second before she masked it with anger. Fine. Go. She folded her arms. But don't come crawling back when you realize what you've lost. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I just turned and walked into the night, feeling more awake than I had in years. I walked until the noise of the party faded behind me, my thoughts moving just as fast as my feet. The weight of the engagement ring was gone from my pocket, but the sting of her words was still fresh, digging into me like shards of glass. I should have felt free. I should have felt powerful for walking away. Instead, there was this itch under my skin, this deep gnawing feeling that something wasn't finished. Because Emily didn't fight for me. She didn't try to stop me. She barely even looked shocked. A woman who had spent years obsessing over wedding plans, who used to send me Pinterest boards at 2 a.m., who would get teary-eyed at random love songs in the car, she just let me go like it was nothing, like I was nothing. And that's when the thought hit me so hard I physically stopped walking. She was already done with me. She had been done long before tonight. The humiliation at the party wasn't an accident. The constant work happy hours, the sudden disinterest in our wedding, the way she'd been pulling away for months, it wasn't just cold feet. She had been checking out of this relationship, slowly, carefully, and I had been too blind, too trusting, too stupid to see it. I clenched my jaw and pulled out my phone, my hands moving before my brain could stop them. I opened our messages, scrolling through the last few weeks of one-word answers, delayed replies, excuses about being so busy with work. Then, with a deep breath, I did something I had never done before. I checked our phone bill. Emily and I shared an account, and while I had never been the type to snoop, something in my gut told me I wasn't crazy for thinking there was more to this. The bill showed every call, every text, every number she had been in contact with the most. And there it was, a number she had been calling constantly. Not just texts, actual calls. Long ones, late at night, during the hours when she was supposedly exhausted and falling asleep early. The number was saved under some generic name. M. Tanner. That didn't mean anything to me, but the call history told me everything I needed to know. I tapped the number, my heart hammering. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then a voice I had heard earlier that night answered. Ed? Hello? It was him, the guy from the party, the one she had been laughing with, the one she had touched like she used to touch me. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. I just hung up. And for the first time that night, I felt something stronger than betrayal. I felt rage. I stood there on the sidewalk, the cold biting into my skin, my phone still clutched in my hand. My mind was a storm, memories, conversations, little red flags I had ignored, all coming together in one sickening realization. Emily hadn't just humiliated me tonight. She had been playing me for months. I should have confronted her right then and there. Turned around, walked back into that party, and thrown her lies in her face. But no, that would have given her an out. She would have played dumb, gassed at me, turn the entire thing into my fault. So instead I walked. I walked until my lungs burned from the cold air, until my legs ached, until I had a plan. By the time I got back to our apartment, my hands weren't shaking anymore. My mind was clear. The lights were off when I stepped inside. Emily still wasn't home, probably stayed late at the party, enjoying the attention, drinking with her coworkers, or maybe just one coworker in particular. I moved through the apartment in silence. It didn't feel like my home anymore. The framed photos on the walls, the stupid scented candles she was obsessed with, the bed we had shared for years. It was all tainted now. I went straight to her desk. Emily was careful, smart, but everyone slips up eventually. Her laptop was password protected, of course, but her iPad, the one she used mostly for Netflix and scrolling through Pinterest, was unlocked. I sat down, opened her messages, and within seconds I had everything I needed. There they were, hundreds of messages between Emily and Mark Tanner. I didn't even have to read far to know exactly what this was. The pet names, the late night. I can't stop thinking about you. Messages, the complaints about me, how dull I had become, how she felt trapped, how she wished she had met Mark first. I gritted my teeth, forcing myself to keep reading, my eyes scanning for a date. And there it was, 6 months. She had been seeing him for 6 freaking months while we were planning our wedding, while she was looking me in the eyes and telling me she loved me, while I was saving for her honeymoon. I closed my eyes, gripping the edge of the desk to steady myself. Don't break anything, don't scream, don't give her the satisfaction. I took a deep breath and made a decision. I wasn't just going to leave. I wasn't going to argue, cry, or let her twist this around on me. No. I was going to end this on my terms. So I picked up my phone and started typing. I sat there in the dim glow of her iPad screen, my pulse steady, my mind sharper than it had been in months. The weight in my chest wasn't sadness anymore. It wasn't even betrayal. It was purpose. Emily had spent 6 months lying to me, 6 months sneaking around, making me look like a fool, keeping him close while keeping me just comfortable enough not to suspect. But now I had the truth, and I wasn't going to waste it. I copied the entire conversation, every single disgusting message, every lie, every excuse she had ever made to me when in reality, she was with him. I sent it all to myself. Then I went a step further. I scrolled through her camera roll. There they were, photos, videos. My stomach twisted, but I didn't look away. I needed to see it. I needed to feel every ounce of rage so I wouldn't hesitate when the time came to ruin her. I sent those to myself too. Then, with the evidence secured, I set my phone down and leaned back. Now came the fun part. Emily had spent so long thinking she was smarter than me, thinking she could play this little game and get away with it. But she didn't realize one thing: I don't lose. I wasn't going to scream at her. I wasn't going to break things or beg for an explanation. That's what she would expect. That's what cheaters always expect. Big emotions, big fights, something they can twist into making you the bad guy. Not this time. I started packing. I wasn't just leaving. I was making sure she felt it. Everything that was mine, gone. My clothes, my books, my gaming setup, even the stupid little coffee maker I had bought for us because she always complained about how the old one took too long. Every trace of me, erased. But before I left, I added one final touch. I grabbed her iPad, opened her messages, and forwarded the entire cheating conversation to her parents. Emily was close to her family, the kind of close where she called her mom every day, where her dad still acted like no man was ever good enough for her. Well, guess what? Now they were going to see exactly what kind of daughter they had raised. And for the grand finale, I forwarded it to her work group chat, the same people she had humiliated me in front of tonight. Let's see how funny they thought she was after this. I dropped her iPad back onto the desk, took one last look at the place where I had wasted 5 years of my life, and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. The real explosion was coming. I drove aimlessly for an hour, the city lights blurring past as I replayed every moment of the night in my head, the party, The humiliation, the smirk on her face, the messages, the photos, him. I had spent 5 years thinking I knew the woman I was going to marry. 5 years building something, sacrificing for her, planning a future together. And the entire time, she was laying the foundation for someone else. But now she was going to watch everything crumble. I checked my phone at a red light. 27 missed calls from Emily, dozens of texts. Some were screaming at me, some were pathetic attempts at damage control. The best one? What did you do? I smiled. She had found out. I turned into my best friend Jake's driveway. The guy was basically my brother. We had grown up together, gone through everything together, and unlike Emily, Jake had never once made me feel like I wasn't enough. I didn't even make it to the door before it swung open. Dude, Jake took one look at me and let out a low whistle. I saw the group chat. Holy shit. I stepped inside, exhaling slowly. Yeah. He shut the door behind me, shaking his head. Bro, you torched her good. Jake tossed me a beer and sat down across from me. So, what now? No. I leaned forward, gripping the bottle tight. Now I watch her world burn. Jake grinned. Man, you really sent it to her parents. I took a sip, letting the cold fist settle in my chest. Oh, it gets better. I sent it to her boss. Jake choked on his drink. What? I shrugged. Technically, I just sent it to the group. I spread my hands. Not my problem. Jake let out a low laugh, shaking his head. Dude, I love you. You are my hero. My phone buzzed again. I checked the screen. Emily, incoming call. I let it ring, then another and another. She was losing it. Jake leaned over, watching the screen. You gonna answer? I stared at the name flashing in front of me. The woman I almost married, the woman who threw me away like I was nothing. I exhaled, then hit accept and said nothing for a second. All I heard was breathing. What did you do? Emily's voice was shrill, shaking, a mixture of rage and panic. You send our messages to my parents, to my job. Are you insane? I smiled. I thought you said it was just a joke, Em. Are you kidding me? She shrieked. Do you know what you've done? I leaned back. Yeah. I made sure everyone saw you for who you really are. She went silent. For the first time, I could feel her brain working, scrambling, trying to find some way out, some way to turn this around. Then she switched tactics. Her voice dropped, trembling now. Babe, please, we need to talk. I can explain. I laughed, a cold, sharp laugh that cut through her pathetic attempt at manipulation. No, Emily. My voice was calm. You don't get to explain. You don't get to twist this. You don't get to gaslight your way out of this one. Silence. Then, low and seething, she spat. You're going to regret this. I smiled wider. I really, really won't. And then I hung up. I stared at my phone for a second, watching her name disappear from the screen. The silence that followed was almost peaceful. No more lies, no more pretending, just the cold, hard truth sitting between us like a loaded gun. Except this time, I was the one holding it. Jake let out a slow exhale from across the room. Dude, that was the most satisfying thing I've ever heard. I smirked, setting my phone down. Yeah, it felt good, but this wasn't over, not yet. Because Emily was cornered now, and when people like her get cornered, they don't back down. They strike. I was already 3 steps ahead. Jake leaned forward, eyes gleaming with that familiar look he always got whenever we were about to do something insane. So what's the next move? I took a slow sip of my beer, letting the moment settle. I take back what's mine. Jake raised an eyebrow. Dude, you already took your stuff. I shook my head. Not my things. I tapped my temple. My dignity. Jake grinned. Oh, I like where this is going. I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. Emily had always been obsessed with her image, picture-perfect couple, picture-perfect life. She posted everything, vacations, dinner dates, even stupid selfies with captions about how lucky she was to have me. Well, time to update the narrative. I scrolled to the last photo she posted of us, just 3 weeks ago. A picture of us at some fancy rooftop bar, her hand resting on mine, engagement ring sparkling under the city lights. The caption, "My forever ring red heart." I clicked it, deleted the heart, deleted the ring emoji, and replaced it with, "Turns out forever only lasts until your fiancé starts sleeping with her coworker." My bad, guys. Didn't get the memo. I hit post. Jake nearly choked on his drink. Dude. He grabbed my phone, staring at the screen. Oh, this is evil. I love it. The second it went live, my notifications exploded. People were liking, commenting, sharing, mutual friends, her coworkers, even people I hadn't talked to in years. And then Emily called again. Jake was grinning like a maniac. Answer it. Put it on speaker. I swiped accept and held the phone out. Her voice came through, shaking with fury. Take that post down right now. I leaned back against the couch. Hey Em, miss me already? I swear to God, if you don't delete that. I cut her off smoothly. Cheat on me harder. Jake lost it, nearly falling off the couch laughing. Emily made this furious spluttering noise, like she didn't know whether to scream or cry. Do you have any idea what you've done to me? I smiled. I think the better question is, do you have any idea what you did to me? Silence. And then, just as I expected, she flipped the script. Baby, listen, I made a mistake, okay? I got caught up in something stupid, but it didn't mean anything. You're the one I love. You always have been. Jake and I exchanged a look. There it was, the classic cheater speech. I let out a long, dramatic sigh. You know, Emily, I actually believe you. She sniffled. You do? Yeah, I believe that it didn't mean anything to you. I paused, letting the words sink in. But it meant something to me. And then I hung up. Jake howled, clutching his chest. Dude, that was savage. Are you a professional villain? I laughed, shaking my head. Nah, I just finally grew a spine. Jake clapped me on the shoulder. So, what now? I smirked. Now we watch her life fall apart in real time. I didn't have to wait long. Emily's life was already on fire. The second my Instagram post went live, the dominoes started falling, one after another, faster than I even expected. My notifications were blowing up, and every single one of them was a front row seat to her downfall. Mutual friends were stunned, some were tagging me, asking if it was real. Others? They knew. One of Emily's old college friends messaged me. Bro, not surprised. She did this to her last ex too, just saying. Oh. So this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was who she was. And then the texts from Emily's coworkers started rolling in. Dude, we've all kind of suspected for a while. Marcus screwed, man. Our boss saw your post. HR is already involved. I was at the party. We all saw the way she looked at him. She was so damn cocky about it too. That one hit different, because that was exactly it. Emily had been so sure she could get away with it. She thought she was the smartest person in the room, that she could laugh in my face and walk away unscathed. Well, not this time. I refreshed Instagram. Emily's account, gone. Deleted, deactivated, wiped from existence. Jake leaned over, grinning. Oh, she's in full panic mode. And then my phone buzzed again. A new number. I frowned, hesitating for half a second before answering. Yeah? A deep voice came through the speaker. Hey, we need to talk. Mark. Jake's eyes went wide. I put the phone on speaker. Oh, this should be good. Mark exhaled sharply. Look, man, I get that you're pissed, but you didn't have to drag me into this. Jake let out a loud, sarcastic laugh. Oh, buddy, you dragged yourself into this the second you started banging another guy's fiancé. Mark ignored him. You just made a huge mistake, bro. You don't know who you're messing with. I tilted my head, genuinely curious. Oh, and who exactly am I messing with? I'm messing with a corporate nobody who screws engaged women behind their backs. Silence. Then his voice got lower. I could make this really difficult for you. Jake whistled. Oh, threats? Now we got ourselves a tough guy. I leaned back. Tell me, Mark, does your wife know about this? Jake choked. Wait, he's married? The silence on the line stretched, and then Mark hung up. I blinked, looked at Jake, and then we both started laughing. Jake nearly fell off the couch. This just keeps getting better, he said. I grinned. Oh, we're not done yet. I went back to my phone, scrolled through Emily's messages, and found exactly what I was looking for, Mark's wife's number. Jake's eyes lit up. Oh, dude, no way. You wouldn't. I smirked. Oh, I absolutely would. And then I hit send. The second I sent the screenshots to Mark's wife, I sat back and waited. Jake was practically vibrating with excitement next to me. Dude, what do you think she's going to do? I grinned, locked on my phone. Oh, she's going to end him. And sure enough, not even 2 minutes later, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Who the hell is this? Is this some kind of joke? I smirked and typed back. Me. No joke. Check the timestamps. Your husband and my fiancé have been screwing around behind our backs for 6 months. Sorry you had to find out like this, but trust me, I know how it feels. She left me on read for a solid minute. Then, I need proof. I sent everything. The texts, the photos, the flirty messages about how Mark was tired of his boring marriage, and how Emily was so much more exciting. Every single disgusting detail. And then she called me. I answered, and before I could even say a word she spoke, calm, too calm. Thank you? I blinked. What? You're sure about this? She asked, her voice ice cold. No tricks, I said simply. Check the dates. Check his call log. I guarantee you'll see her number all over it. Silence. Then, quiet but sharp. He thinks he's untouchable. A chill ran down my spine. Jake mouthed. O.T. I cleared my throat. So, what are you going to do? She let out a soft, humorless laugh. Let's just say Mark is about to have a very, very bad night. And then she hung up. Jake stared at me, wide-eyed. Dude, I think you just triggered a nuclear war. I exhaled slowly. Good. And then, as if the universe was rewarding me for my sheer pettiness, my phone buzzed again. This time, from an unknown email. I clicked it open and immediately burst out laughing. Jake peeked over my shoulder. What? What is it? I turned the phone to him. Emily's boss. Subject, Emily's termination, effective immediately. Emily, last name, is no longer employed at company name. Thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. Jake screamed. No way. I grinned. Oh, yes way. Emily had lost everything. Her job, her reputation, her fiancé, and now her affair partner's wife was coming for blood. And as if things couldn't get any better, my phone rang again. Emily. I answered, this time putting her on speaker. Without a word, she was sobbing. Are you happy now? She shrieked. Are you satisfied? You ruined my life. Jake and I exchanged a look before I finally spoke, voice completely calm. No, Emily, you ruined your own life. I just made sure everyone saw it. And then I hung up. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. My phone was still blowing up. Texts, missed calls, notifications piling up like a train wreck I had walked away from without looking back. And honestly, I had never felt lighter. I stretched, yawning, as Jake walked in, grinning like an idiot. Dude, he said, waving his phone. You are officially a legend. I raised an eyebrow. What now? Jake tossed his phone onto the table. Emily melting down. I picked up his phone and opened the group chat. Emily's messages were pure desperation. Guys, please don't believe everything you see online. Emily, this is all a huge misunderstanding. Emily, please stop sharing that post. And my favorite one. Emily, if anyone talks to my boss's name and tells him this is a lie, I'll pay you. Jake burst out laughing. She's out here trying to bribe people. I smirked. You love to see it. And then the final nail in the coffin, because as I was scrolling through the chat, another message popped up. This one from Mark's wife. Hey everyone, just wanted to let you all know that Mark and I are officially getting a divorce. He's also getting fired because I sent everything to his boss. Have a great day. Jake practically fell over. Bro, this is art. I just sat back, exhaling slowly. It was done. Emily, fired, exposed, humiliated. Mark, losing everything. And me? For the first time in months, maybe years, I felt free. Jake grinned, clapping me on the back. So, what's next, man? I thought about it for a second. Then I grabbed my phone, opened Instagram one last time, and posted one final update. Sometimes you lose a fiancé. Sometimes you just lose 130 pounds of dead weight. Either way, life gets lighter. Cheers. And then I closed the app, leaned back, and finally, moved the hell on.